So we're back at spawn here. I was here just last night and we started work on that. Yes, we have started our Iron Foundry. I don't think Turcanil even has seen this yet, but as you can see, it's going to be pretty massive. Not quite to the extent that our gold farm was, but I think it'll be a pretty nice, mellow project comparatively. And I did come prepared. If this gives you any hint of how nice having thermal expansion is, we can just plop down a few select caches and items, chests, and there we go. Let's rearrange that. There. Now we have some wood for doors. We have our stone bricks for obviously stone bricks. And we have a nice amount of glass here so that we can do all of this wonderful glass. Now I am following a tutorial by Tango Tech. And these stripes are going to help us position the doors in a nice row here. And this one will not have doors. But it is pretty straightforward on the tutorial, at least to this point. So I'm going to go ahead and do this pattern over here. I was considering red, but we did choose the netherrack and nether brick for our gold farm, so I thought orange would give it a nice bright contrast here, and it does look pretty nice from the underside. It's certainly better than a yellow color, which we're going to have anyway with our glowstone. That will be on the top layer here, just 3 blocks up. But I think it'll be a pretty good pick. Maybe we'll do lime green on the next one, I don't know. I am thinking that we will pick different colors for each project, just for variety's sake, if nothing else. So let me go ahead and get this far side done real quick and move to the next part of the tutorial. We'll see how far we get before Turcanil finds out that we're building this thing. Alright, so we now have our temporary village right here. So we have him and then our breeding villagers down here. So we got ourselves an infinite villager spawner right here on premise. I decided that would be a little easier than trying to cart many villagers from my base all the way up and into position. So we're just breeding them on site. Now when these guys grow up, they'll do the same thing as what's in our current villagers breeder, where they'll just run under here, get stuck on soul sand, and get washed up here, mob elevator into this little channel and down into position. And since this spot here actually has an open gap underneath, then they need to be adults, which this does a very good job at sorting them out for adults. But I'm thinking we'll get, maybe 15 or 20 in this little pen here. Have half spawned, so we got 20 into this spot, or 25. And then we'll use the remaining villagers. We'll just break the doors, and then so they won't spawn anymore, and then we'll go and stick the remaining ones over there. We will need to keep one villager on hand so we can ping pong doors like in the tutorial. So we'll have to have a +1. But we have that stage of our iron farm done. Now we are just waiting for gazillions and gazillions of villagers. So while we're waiting, I'm gonna go see if our village back at our trading hall is actually fleshed out yet. Alright, so looks like we have what's that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 villagers over here. So that's a good quantity. I think we got 11 over here. Yeah, it looks like about 11. It's like we got 3 little up-and-comers all ready and prepped to grow up and go down our water stream. I haven't tested this side yet, so I'm hoping it works. It uses the same principle as the other side, and I did change it. You can see I got rid of the dip here, and basically what I did to adjust that is I just left a gap. That's all there was to it. I just have a gap underneath one of these blocks so that they don't just stand there and hop. Yeah, see, there's a gap right there. So they'll be able to hop while they're in this piece of water here. They'll get flushed, land into here, and then they'll just pretty much stand there until they decide to either wander, which they'll get caught up in the next stream, or the next villager will come along and bump them into the water stream. So we'll always have 1 or 2 villagers sitting in this channel here, ready to get bumped down into position. So I think that'll work out pretty well. Just gives us a little bit more buffer. He's not going to do anything since there's no other villager to mate with, nor is he close enough to the doors to be considered to mate. So I think we'll be just fine. Just doing a little bit of post-change cleanup here. But yeah, the original tutorial didn't really cover how to do the continuations, these little extended trading posts. So, just had to make do. There's our lava so that we don't overpopulate ourselves here and get into trouble with lag on the server. And we should have lava on this side unplugged as well. So now we just wait for those 3 guys to grow up. They'll start populating here. Ooh, looks like I missed a button. Alright, I'm gonna add that button, get that water set, and we'll be good to go. So I let our villager spawner run overnight and didn't get a chance to check on it this morning, but I come back and there were about 1,070 villagers all crammed into this nice little square here, and the server was quite laggy. So I actually had to almost start over here. I actually threw a bucket of lava right here and it just kind of filled everywhere but this one little corner. But it allowed some of the villagers to swim out, and I recaptured them and went down and pretty much killed every other villager that was down and around. So we're starting out with this small seed population yet again, and hopefully in a few hours we'll actually have the proper quantity of seed villagers, and I can isolate some into this cell doing the same method that we're gonna do over here, and I think we can get cracking with that. Or actually, when we get the 20, I'll just knock those out, and the little babies that they spawn will go into here and end up in our spot. The only thing I see as being a problem is that these guys might start spawning as well, but fortunately we didn't take this all the way to the ground, so the babies will actually get out and we can take care of them instead. So we'll actually have an accurate count of villagers in our little trap here, but we definitely want to get to at least 20, probably a little bit more for margin of error, since 1 iron golem can be spawned for every 10 villagers, and we most likely will have a minimum of 2 at a time, probably upwards to 4, maybe even 5 if we actually put 25 in each. But by the time 4 have spawned, they've probably already flushed to the middle and down into our lava pit. But we will see. I have not built this before, so we will see how it performs when it gets to that point. But we gotta wait for a lot of villagers. Alright, we have our villagers in place. We got, what, let's see, about, that's not an accurate count there. There we go, about 21 villagers in that mess. And I think this one was about 24. Yeah, 24. So, not quite the 30 we would have liked, but it works. We're just in the middle of teardown of our little channel that we fed them from our spawn area over where they go on the far side. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning this up. I did build our little tee off there to do our whole door tying for the multiple village stuff. So we should be pretty well prepped to start with the next phase. I did put the glass shaft down the middle here. Can't see it because it's the quite clear glass, but it's there. And I just need to work on some of the killing stuff at the bottom here. And we should be able to start putting our doors up after that, because as soon as we start putting doors, I'm assuming our iron golems will start spawning. So we want to make sure we have the killing platform in place for those iron golems before we actually get to that point. So let me go ahead and finish tearing this down and we'll be right back. So we are on the fun doors part. And this is a very, very tedious process. We have to move this torch 2 spots every time. Go and destroy every door we've laid so far. That way, instead of having this part of the existing village with those doors, it snaps the village back to those doors. And let me go ahead and finish breaking these. And now when we come back here, we drop an extra door here to pick up the extra door that we set on that side. And then we drop one more door here to start a new village. So that one, and we just put all the doors back to snap all of the villages back to our side. And as you can see, you're going to want practically a completely empty inventory. I have a few essentials such as food and torches and my axe. And there's pretty much not much else you'll be able to carry since these doors do not stack. I do have that chest there just in case if I needed to dump my doors that I've broke to that point into there, so I could just pick them up on the way back through. But I've cleaned up my inventory enough that that will be unnecessary, I hope. I'm just crossing my fingers that I don't have to break these doors in series for the next section. So I got my little chest of doors right there. And I just pick up 2 on my way back over. We come back over here. And we come over to our torch here. And we move this 2 spots to there. That will finish us up right there. And we destroy doors. This way when we plant the new door, it won't link up to any of these doors and thus an existing village, but will actually spawn a new village because those doors are more than 64 away from this spot, but it's exactly 64 from there to that door. So that's why we're destroying all of these doors here, is so that when we now come and start here and place a new door, that's a new village since there's not a counterpart door there. And then this one links up to our new door right there. And so forth and so forth. Yeah, it takes a little bit of thought and manipulation, but it works. And so we'll just go and continue making these villages and see what the next step is after this, since this is almost the last one. So leave it to me to not have watched the entire tutorial prior to starting this project. And I neglected one thing. Since we're building an arm out this way, we needed one more villager to sit on top of the doors, and I had loaded all of our villagers that we created into this and that one over there. I was going to make another villager spawner and just get one more out of there, but I'm like, I'll just go and get them from our village by my base. So I am having to now tear up my track that I laid so we could get this guy up here. But definitely a little easier for us. But I would fully recommend, and I probably will in the future, watch the entire tutorial prior to starting a project. I just knew that this was a very necessary project for our server, so I was gung-ho about it and just wanted to get going on it because it's a long tutorial, mostly because of the door process. So, sure to watch it, or at least watch this LP through entirety prior to building it on your server. It'll help you out immensely. Make sure that you have all the resources that you need, like the 900 or so doors. I had to kill quite a few dark oak trees to get the proper amount of wood for that. So just something to keep in mind. So we are still placing our doors. Sorry about the rain, but I've turned down the audio for it. But you can see we've been spawning our iron golems. I'm waiting for one more to show up so that we know we have the proper quantity in these two spawners here. Not, I might want to just turn on a temporary spawner, but I think it'll interact with these doors, unfortunately. So I might have to minecart a few more guys over from a spawner down on the ground, kind of 64 blocks away, so further than that, just to not interfere with these doors. But I'm crossing my fingers and hoping one more of these guys will spawn once I get some more doors going. We do have a few seconds to wait between placing that first door and these to ensure that it links up properly. And as you can see, that was not to screw up. It is okay. Once that first door is down and links, all of these will automatically link to it and we don't have to worry. So, not concerned. Unfortunately, I don't have the mod that shows us how these are tying together, because that is a mod for 173. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we got these steps. Since we can run up and down these because of our boots, it does make us so we don't have to jump, which is a very nice benefit. I mean, something I've always been saying and thinking is that the few mods that we do have just make life a little easier for us, make it so we can do things a little faster, but they're not really much more than what you can get normally anyway. Like our speed boost, I could have brought my beacon over from my base and plopped it down here beside this thing so we'd get our jump boost, our haste, and all of that good stuff, but you know, we got it on our equipment as a permanent enchant. You know, it does make things a little nicer, but it's not extreme. It's not something you can't normally get in vanilla, except for maybe the ender sword here that has the increased chance to drop ender pearls. But with a ender farm, it makes the sword a very moot point anyway. So eventually that's going to get retired. And look, we do have 4, so we do have the proper number of villagers. So we don't have to worry about that. If we did drop more villagers, it would just allow a larger cap, maybe 5 or 6 in the middle here. But they're all going to spawn here near the middle and then get flushed down with water anyway. So I think the 4 is a pretty good place. I don't think we'll have to worry. This thing's going to be kicking out a lot of iron anyway. So I'm really not that concerned. I'm just glad to see that there's 4, because that could limit our output since we're going whole hog here and doing 44 doors. I definitely like it to have the most benefit, and 4 should do that. 3 would hobble that. So alright, I'm going to keep working on these doors and doing that exact same thing, working mirror image here and getting this platform done, and then starting on this platform here, working from out here in, basically newest to oldest, and then repeating that here as I do it, and we'll get this done. I've done it. Look, we have all of our doors in place. Yeah. And let's see how many that took. We have a grand total of 27 wooden doors left. So that's just under 1,000 wooden doors. So that is a lot. I mean, we do have the doors out there and over there. So it is actually probably closer to 950. But that is still a whole lot of doors. So we do have our iron golems that are spawning here, and I have pushed several down the hole. They do respawn fairly quickly, so I'm pretty sure this is working. So I'm going to now take down all of this out here to snap all of these villages to the middle as we need, and then we can start building our spawning and killing platform here. So let me go ahead and get these wings taken care of. Well, that doesn't sound promising. For some reason I have these villagers reproducing. Oh no. It's kind of like Scooby-Doo. There we go. Well, fortunately they're not going to be continually multiplying inside of there. Oh. Oh, iron golems. That's right. They don't like me when I kill villagers. Not a good thing. And this guy should stop doing this. Come on. There you go. It's running away from me. There we go. Alright. Hopefully this doesn't continue once we get them isolated. So there we have it. We now have a fully functioning iron farm. And I'd say we had, what, 5 stacks of 64 iron in there. Let's see. This is completely from here. 384 iron ingots so far from our iron farm. I think it's going to do us very well. We've got a basic item filter on there for iron, even though that can't take anything but iron. It's just in case. So things flow through the hopper into this chest. Iron. This is poppies only. So any other things that drop into here will end up sticking in this chest. So I don't think it'll be a big problem. But I don't know, we might want to check on it just in case. Maybe in a couple days, make sure it's still clean. We have our poppies feeding into here. And we'll just keep some cobble in here until we get our poppy storage up just enough that we don't have to worry about having cobble in there. But we have a lot of stone brick, so we can sacrifice that, and cobble's fairly renewable with the quarry, so it's not that big of a deal if we throw some into the nether. We can always go and collect it anyway. So that is our iron golem farm. Look at that. Yeah. They are spawning at a pretty good rate. And they're flowing into the middle there. So, very nice to finally get this done. Those doors were atrocious to sit. They, like I said, were about 950 of them. I'm going through it and just going to ring the whole thing with glass just to be doubly protective of those doors, because I do not want to have to tear all of those doors out again. So I'm going to just ring the whole thing with glass and not have to worry about it. As you can see, we do have our villagers fairly well protected. They only have access through here and here, which has water. I don't think anything's going to be able to get to them. So that is our iron farm. Our last order of business is to attach to our cache here a nice little ender chest. And this is an ender IO chest. It has a color code along the top here so that we can actually have different ender storage for each color code. In this case, I used a lot of light gray here because it's going to be for iron, and it's just going to hold an entire output of our cache here. When we pull extra iron out, it'll actually just refill from our little cache here, so we won't actually have to come to our iron farm to pick up ingots anymore. We'll just have one of these either with us or in our base, and we can just draw out of it and have it automatically repopulate for us. So now it's an entirely self-contained and not needing to be visited iron farm. And fortunately, those extra villagers no longer seem to be spawning, so that's always good. And we have a healthy stream of poppies to our dispenser. So everything looks like it is in perfect working order, and we already do have about 29,000 iron ingots in this cache. So we're quite pleased with the output of this thing. So it's a very good design by Tango Tech. But unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. Thank you for watching. Please like if you have liked this video, and do subscribe so you can see when the next video comes out and get notified. Much appreciated that you are watching, and hope to see you again next time. Thank you and have a good evening.